Hey, welcome to 209coach.com. I just want to do a video for you today, mainly for you parents and you coaches out there. I get lots of emails and phone calls from coaches, from parents all the time, just asking me questions on what's the best way to train a player to develop, to have an elite swing, how to develop a player to have fundamentals or mechanics that will help them to succeed. Now, this video right here will answer a lot of questions, okay? And it's really important to understand that if you follow mechanics, if you follow elite players, whether it be MLB, elite softball players, you're going to see that there's going to be a kind of a certain look that you're going to see in elite players. Okay, they're going to have their own style to some degree, but for the most part, they're going to use their body, their arms, their legs, in a very similar manner, and the reason why is because there is a science to hitting. There's certain things that have been proven to be able to help a player to hit with more power, more quickness, and just be able to be more successful, okay? And I'm going to try to explain this to you. So for you parents, you coaches out there that are not very familiar with what's going on out there, what to believe, or not to believe, to be honest with you, if you really pay attention to direct opposite size batter's box view, which a lot of times is very difficult to get, if you pay attention to that, you're going to see that you're going to have a very similar angle like we see here with this young lady right here, okay? So she's going to be the model. Now, the first thing I would highly recommend for you to do if you're working with your child, working with a player, is this. Notice how she's set up. There's a few things going on here, okay? The hands are between the neck and the deltoid, and she has a vertical bat, okay? That's one. Now, that's really important because by applying this kind of a manner of holding the bat, this is going to allow you to use your wrist better and therefore allow you to be able to whip through the ball better as you get further into the swing. Now, you're going to also see, this is very, very common too, okay? You're going to see a lot of flexion at the setup, just like this, okay? This is very, very common, and you want this because this shows me, as I'm looking at a player, that they're relaxed, they're comfortable, and they're going to be able to just, at the time that they're at the home plate, all they're doing is basically just chilling out, okay? And that's what I tell players. Hey, just chill out. Imagine if you're just talking to someone, having a conversation, you wouldn't have your body in any kind of weird situation. You basically would just look really relaxed. Right here, she looks very relaxed. And a lot of times what happens with players is this, and this is very common. If this was the elbow and this is the hand, okay, the hands are way out here beyond the back foot like this. So if you were to go down, straight down, the hands already would be beyond the back foot, okay? Some of them are even further back like this, okay? I see that actually quite often, and it's just something that should not be applied in a swing. And I don't want to get into it right now, but it does create extra frames. It creates a lot of bad habits, okay? Another thing that you see in players is when the bat, instead of the bat being vertical, the bat sometimes will be like this, and sometimes I actually see players, the bat's kind of laying back like that. That is not something that's going to help you to be more successful with hitting, okay? You want to start with your hands, all right, between your neck and your deltoid, okay? Your hands between your neck and your deltoid, and you want to have a lot of flexion in your arms. And another thing is that you want to do is you want to have your legs, okay, you see how her legs are kind of like this, where your knee, your back knee is pointing direct opposite side batter's box view or slightly turned in, okay? Directly straight or slightly turned in. You do not want your knee pointing this way, okay? That's going to create a lot of lateral movement towards the catcher if you do that. Trust me, okay? Because there's no resistance. There's no wedging of the back leg, okay? So what I tell a lot of my students when they set up, and I highly recommend for you to do this as well, put some pressure inside of the inner thigh, inner ankle, and in the instep of your back foot. Feel like this is kind of just solid, like cement right here, so your body cannot transfer this way, all right? You're trying to avoid that because, again, the more frames you move back this way, the more frames you're going to have to go forward. And if you're facing elite pitching, that's going to create a lot of problems, okay? All right. So once you get to this stage right here, you master set. Now pay attention to the hands. The hands basically go, okay, from the between the neck and the deltoid, like I just mentioned. So if we go straight down like this, the hands are pretty much right here right now, okay? And now watch what happens. She's going to lift the front leg, okay, to get ready for her swing, and watch what happens. All it is just a little shift like that. That's it, okay? This is exactly what should occur in a swing. The shift should be very simple like this. Watch her lower body, hardly any movement. You can see here the integrity of the back knee still maintains. In other words, it's not collapsing. The knee still pointing to downward. Okay, opposite side batter's box view, or slightly turned in a little bit. It's not pointing towards the catcher. Okay, and that's, again, something that I see too often, which creates a lot of extra frames in a swing. Again, from setup, you're going to see here, watch how the bat still remains vertical. Watch how the arms, there's no pullback yet. All it is just basically a transfer, okay? And the reason I know there's no pullback yet, because you can see that the shoulders are still pretty much pointing towards the pitcher, and there's still a lot of flexion in the arms, and that the bat is still vertical. Okay, this is exactly what you should be doing in your swing. This will help you if you're working with your daughter, you're working with your son. Just keep it simple. As time goes on, pitchers are getting faster. They're becoming more elite. They're becoming more dominant. And you need to be able to hit these kind of pitchers. And the way you do it is by simplifying your swing just like this. This is a beautiful, simplistic swing, okay? So we're at the setup. So the hands go between the neck and the deltoid. And once you reach the apex of the gather, just like this, watch what happens here. This is real important. The hands should drop right in front of the back foot. This is what you see in most elite swings, okay? Again, it goes from here at the setup to in front of the back foot. Okay, it will drop back to the shoelaces as you start your pullback. And the reason it doesn't go this way is because if you're doing it correctly, and this is what I always tell my students, if you're doing this in front of a mirror, as you're learning this, okay, as you're learning this and you're looking in the mirror, you're watching yourself in the mirror, as you're learning this process, you're going to see that once you lift your front leg and you're going to see that your body shifts, you want your hands, you're looking in the mirror and you say, okay, my hands are now right in front of my back foot. Now I know it's time for me to start to coil the back hip. Coil my hips, rotate my hips, where I'm loading my back tailbone, loading my back hip, loading my back leg, okay, rotating it towards the pitcher. Your tailbone is rotating towards the pitcher. Your back pocket is rotating towards the pitcher as you start to get into this gather. And at this stage, it's still kind of a subtle little move, but you're going to continue to apply this rotation of the hips, loading the back hip, loading the back leg as you start your forward move. So again, step one, the setup. Step two, all it is a little transfer just like this. Okay, that's it. Step three, what you want to do now, pay attention to the bat. Pay attention to her top hand. It goes from being vertical, where the top hand is facing, the palm is facing the pitcher, to as she transfers her weight, her top hand is pulling back. Her hips are coiling. Watch her hips. You can see that they're rotating, like almost like she wants to get her back pocket, her back tailbone towards the pitcher. Simultaneously, she's applying pullback. So her palm now goes from facing the pitcher to kind of facing downward. Okay, so now you can see that it's, oops, let me erase this right here. You can see now that her palm went from being here to now is facing more in this manner, okay? Pretty much a 90-degree angle to the bat, okay? So it's facing downward now, and the reason why is because of the pullback, okay? Because of the resistance, the top hand pullback. And it's not anything that's applied abruptly. It's very subtle. I always tell my students from 1 to 10, grip it like a 3 or a 4. You don't want to hold it too loosely where the bat falls out, and you don't want to death grip your bat either. Okay, so we're at the setup, the gather. As we transfer our weight, the hips are rotating. You're winding up the hips, loading up the back hip, the back leg. At the same time, the top hand is pulling back where the back elbow works up, back, and behind you. Watch the back elbow. Up, back, and behind you. Up, back, and behind you. Okay, this is beautiful right here. So if you were to pause right here, you would see that she has a shoulder, okay, a shoulder the shoulder to elbow look like this, okay? Where her being at the lefty here would be pointing pretty much to the shortstop, okay? The bat would be at about a 45-degree angle, where the bat would be pointing to the catcher's area, just like this, okay? This is exactly what you want to do in your swing. Now, again, as you do this, you're going to just do this over and over. Go just over and over, very smoothly, very methodically, with very smooth tempo. You're going to be looking in the mirror. You want to see that shoulder to elbow look. You want to be applying the pullback. Watch her hips again, how she's rotating it. You can see it's very obvious. So when she lands right here, one checkpoint for you. Watch her belt buckle. Her belt buckle is pointing in this way. Why? Because the tailbone is rotating towards the pitcher. She's very wound up in her back hip, back leg, and her upper body is nice and wound up because of the pullback, okay? So again, this is a great tutorial for you parents, you coaches out there who want to have a reference to something to work on. From here, what I would do next is after you get into your toe touch, you want to maintain that pullback, maintain the pullback, and by maintaining the pullback, this is what it does, okay? Watch this. I'm going to draw a line again where the bat's pointing right here to the catcher's area, and as she starts to get into her heel plant, watch what happens. She's at her heel plant, and you can see here that the bat is still pretty much pointing in the direction of where the catcher's area is. Now, if you're applying very, very good pullback, you're going to pretty much leave it there, and then you're going to be anywhere from here to here is still very acceptable right here. This is what you see in pretty much the best players in the game, okay? When they get into heel plant, their bat is still going to maintain that angle where the bat is still going to be pointing pretty much to the area of where the catcher is, okay? So we got the setup, the gather, the weight transfer, the heel plant, okay? The heel plant right here. See how the bat pretty much just stays there. And then from there, once you do that, I call it kind of a hip thrust where you're staying back. The reason you're staying back is because of the top hand pullback, because you're winding the hips, you're winding the back leg. I tell my students, feel like 90 and 100% of your coil is winding up in the back leg, the back hip, and you're coiling that back shoulder by that top hand pullback. You're going to be fully loaded. It's going to be like a rubber band stretching. And then from there, what do? The lead elbow works up to the height of the mouth with the barrel below the hands. Watch this. Watch what's going on right here. This is beautiful right here. See how the lead elbow works up to the height of the mouth? And look, watch what's going on right here. This is something you rarely see in young players. See how below the barrel is below the hands? This is going to give you a very nice kind of a roller coaster swing. Watch this. It's like a roller coaster where everything works like a roller coaster. And this is exactly what you want. Many times I see players, what they have is what I call a merry-go-round swing. And that is where the bat literally wraps below the chest. And what you're doing, basically, the bat is just basically just being wrapped around your body instead of working in this manner here. Look at this right here. This is very, very just elite right here, this kind of extension she's getting. See that? It looks like a roller coaster. In other words, you don't ever want your lead elbow to collapse working downward, okay? By that I mean this. You don't want, when you're swinging, and this is very common as well, as players start to swing, okay? As they start to get into after the heel plant situation, instead of the lead elbow working up to the height of the mouth like she's doing right here, what happens is the lead elbow falls down here, the forearms right here, and the bat is literally working kind of like this in a roller coaster, merry-go-round. It works like a merry-go-round, okay? And that's a bunch of weak slap shots. Maybe if you record your child or your player and they're doing this, the reason why is because the lead elbow after heel plant is not working up to the height of the mouth. And when I do online video analysis, this is actually very, very common. When I do online video analysis, I find that I say probably close to 90% of the players struggle with getting their lead elbow up to the height of the mouth. So far, so good, okay? Give me a like if you're enjoying this video. If you're learning something, please, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. So again, you want the lead elbow to work up to the height of the mouth, and from there, watch what she's doing here. And this is a great drill to do. Let your arms get to full extension right here like this, and let the barrel be just slightly below the hands as you hit balls. The reason you want to do this is going to train your arms. For those of you who have a problem with getting to full extension, hitting off the tee and just stopping like this will start to train you to learn to get to full extension, okay? So again, in a nutshell, what we want to do, we want to start off with a nice setup right here. Vertical bat, just a slight little transfer, you're done with the gather, okay? Little transfer, you're done with the gather. And what do you do next? You just start to coil your hips, load up the back leg, the back hip as your top hand pulls back. Watch the angle of the bat. It goes from being vertical to about a 45-degree angle. Maintain the pullback, maintain the pullback, maintain the pullback. Let the lead elbow work up to the height of the mouth. Exaggerate, exaggerate the barrel below the hands. Get to full extension, okay? Get to full extension like this. And then let your bat work in an orbit, okay? Let your bat work in an orbit like a roller coaster, okay? Not a merry-go-round, all right? I hope you liked this video. If you learned something, please give me a like again. And also, I really appreciate, tell your friends about this channel. I'm here to help you to develop your swing in a very elite manner, to help you to be successful, hit more home runs out there. All right, everyone. God bless. Have a great day.